Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ESL Pro Tour America, weekly number 9. We had to take a quick break to switch over to the Europe server because you're allowed to play from anywhere in the world. As long as the two players agree on what server they want to play on, you are allowed to do other ones. We have two Europeans here in the first semi-final, so we're playing on Europe, just in case anybody was curious. In the top left, we have the red Terran player, representing Team Liquid, an extremely handsome Dutchman. Half of his blood is caramel because of how fantastic stroopwafels are. He is uThermal. Because there's a wolf next to us. Oh, I thought I was about to wake up the dog doing that. I should be careful. In the bottom right, we have the blue Terran player, also from Team Liquid. He is Clem. Two absolutely fantastic guys, honestly. I love both of these dudes to death. uThermal was the last Terran player, the last non-Korean Terran player to win a major StarCraft 2 event in the form of the Intel Extreme Masters Shanghai 2016. I was there at that event. It was a very exciting one. Back then, Reapers were busted AF, and uThermal was one of the best Reaper users in StarCraft 2. Seriously, if you want to see some memes, you want to know what was the last time a Terran won something big outside of Korea? Well, let me tell you, that was a hell of a series, especially the final against Neeb. Really actually worth checking out. It was a long time ago. I think we had, who was that guy, that funny dude that we had hosting? What's his name? Lycan? Yeah, I think he was doing lines of G Fuel off the caster desk. Guy's crazy. Guy's an absolute madman, but I love that dude. Anyway, thank God we don't have any proxy shenanigans to start off this TvT. TvT is kind of like, it's really hard to describe. There's a lot of different ways that things can go. There's a lot of different ways things can fall apart. Generally, it's still that double gas first. You take one or two SCVs off of the refineries once you have the factory underway so that you can get a quick expansion. And then your Reapers just kind of fight. Now, for a lot of people, Reaper battles in TvT are terrifying, because every unit in StarCraft, except the battlecruiser, has an ability called random attack delay. So every single unit, when it shoots, its next shot comes a little bit further or closer than it's normally supposed to be. So the Reaper's attack period is 0.79, but after it shoots, it could be 0.8 or it could be 0.78. It can go up or down a little bit, and this kind of scales over time. So basically what I'm saying is, it's completely random if two Reapers start to shoot each other, which one is going to win the fight. There's like a 4-year-old video about High Templars feedbacking each other. Abilities work differently than random attack delay in StarCraft, and they offset any sort of engine priority thing that you could have in the game. Fun TvT facts for those of you who don't get to see too much of this. Can be a very fun matchup. There's a lot of weird ways that people still like to play. I personally likes a lot of Cyclone Raven openings, but we got a Cyclone Medevac opening out of both players this time. And that does give them the opportunity to try and get across the map, do some damage, do a little bit of micro, you know, get down tonight. So the gas gets taken on the natural very quickly, most of the time in TvT. If uThermal does not take a quick gas on his natural, I would find that surprising. I would guess he wants to get an even faster third command center than usual, but no, there it is. So he's going to load up the Cyclone with 4 Marines. That's the way you do it, because your Reapers and your Hellion move faster than the Medevac anyway. And it's literally the exact same thing on the other side. So if you've ever wanted to watch two people with the same face bash them into each other, here you go. Difference is uThermal actually has 1 less Hellion than his opponent. But if he gets attacked on the Cyclone, well, the Medevac with the Cyclone, good scan. It looks like he's going to kill that Medevac, which, while being nice, I mean, the rest of the units died. So it's like, yeah, you killed the Medevac, you killed one of the more expensive units. That's definitely good, but you got to be ready for the counterattack. He does not have a siege tank. He just has 1 Cyclone to defend against a Reaper, 2 Hellions, a Cyclone, 2 Marines. And even though uThermal's like, yeah, that's pretty cool that I got that 1 kill, you're still in a little bit of danger. The nice thing is you can dodge the lock-ons by picking up those units with the Medevac. And he deftly defends the counterattack from his opponent. The transition, of course, is going to be Siege Tank, Raven, 3rd Command Center. All right, there you go, 3rd Command Center. Like I was saying, this is exactly what you expect. This is extremely common. This is the way that you play StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. Terran versus Terran. This is just the way it goes. I want to give big shout out there for the $5. My dude, Sir Enzo Lot. Big appreciation there. Big appreciation, my man. Okay. For dog food. Much love. Thank you. Thank you. My dog will greatly appreciate. We actually just got the dog some new food the other day. We've been trying out some different formulas because people are telling us that it's bad for golden retrievers to eat the 100% grain-free stuff. They say the substitute, whatever the substitute for grain is in a lot of those foods, is just bad for dogs. So, I don't know. I don't know. Every animal is different, just like every person. Siege tank takes a pot shot on that first Marine. Really good defensive setup here from Clem. uThermal's Marine drop. He kills 2 SCVs, but... oh, if he loses the medevac. Oof. Ouch. Owie. My bones. No save it. Okay. Terrible for uThermal then. Clem with a fantastic start to this game. I love it a lot. Even just thinking about this third command center is going to have to fly further towards the third than this one will. Clem is... he's in a good spot. Not to say that uThermal's out of it. For the most part, both players are exactly the same. Except, Clem went for 1 Raven. And we have 2 Ravens from uThermal. And I'll be honest, I actually like the 2 Ravens. I like 2 Ravens a lot. We've got Mech out of uThermal. Bio out of Clem. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an old school TvT throwdown. So if you are Clem, you're going to be thinking about trying to get big drops. You're going to be thinking about trying to get big flanks. Trying to engage an opponent who really can't do anything before 160 supply. Also, this building layout is kind of awkward because everything has to kind of go around here. So don't put any more factories in this area. uThermal, it's going to be awkward. Actually, if he puts that factory there, he literally won't be able to move anything here. So you're going to have to put your next 2 factories on the left side of the production, which I actually don't mind. I do like that a lot. uThermal lands the 3rd. Clem lands his 3rd. Nightshade, not the worst map defensively, but also not the best. You can kind of cut off the right side with a turret here or a turret there. For uThermal, he's already got the turrets up. They're very important. I know a lot of people like to make fun of Terran players who build missile turrets, but I have to be honest with you. The number one way that 99% of mech players lose their games, maybe not necessarily at the highest level, but it's usually to like someone sneaks by a drop or something like that, and then your slow mech units have a hard time catching up and dealing with it. But Clem wants to go and make a push. This is scary. He has the Raven. He can use interference matrix. And if these tanks are too spread out, he could just go boop, boop, and then kill the command center from the east side. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, furthermore, if he were to move all of his tanks to the east side of this command center so that he couldn't do that, well, then he runs the risk of these 2 getting boinked while these 4 are somewhere else. And, you know, it's just not fun. Hellion sees 2 medevacs, by the way. Missile turrets, guys. Missile turrets. Trying to be able to cover for yourself a little bit. There's actually a 3 Raven opener by uThermal, and I like this a lot, but now comes the hard part. Those drops get inside your base. As I said, this is always going to be the biggest thing you're worried about because it's opened up the door. He's tried to use the interference matrix to buy himself some time. Even the turrets are going to try and kill that tank. Once this tank is dead, he's going to be able to nuzzle himself up to the north side of the 3rd. So that drop is finally stopped, but he's got to get SCVs back on that base. He's got to fix that. Meanwhile, trying to deal with these siege tanks. And if you are uThermal, you need a Liberator. He's got a Liberator now, just started. 7 seconds, so it's going to take about 30 more before he can get out that Liberator to defend against this. And Clem does not have any Vikings, so a Liberator will put an end to this, but it's not going to be easy. It will not be easy at all. Thanks, Yags. Love you, brother. It will not be easy at all. So let's see. 5 Vikings, 3 Ravens. Hellions are going to go for a counterattack. Clem actually does not have anything here to deal with it, so SCVs getting roasted and toasted in the 3rd base. Marines to defend. Well, you're not actually crazy worried. You might be able to get a couple of hits off on those. So 20 SCVs traded for about, what, 4 or 5 Hellions was it he lost. Now he's got the Liberator. He can zone away the tanks. Without any Vikings, Clem does not have a way to push the Liberator back. He's going to drop some auto turrets. Loses one of his 8 Ravens at full energy. Definitely a mistake there. You got to just take the Ravens out of the control group. You really cannot afford to lose those. Now he's going to siege up that Liberator. These tanks need to move. These tanks need to get the hell out of here. Focus the tank. Focus the tank. Don't shoot the Marines. And he's just going to inch his way forward. So this is a good way to bust out of this contain. And Clem's just saying to himself, yeah, screw this. I don't need to do that. But the El Tanko de Sijo is ready to defend. So not going to kill 20 workers there, which is quite nice. These 2 Marines are still alive, which is annoying. He's going to drop 1 turret. Boop and boop. Goodbye. These 3 Hellions looking for love in all the wrong places. And is he going to be able to slip on through to the natural? Just 1 Hellion will make it. And no blue flame. So, yeah, that Hellion does not do a whole lot. Clem, 4th Orbital Command in the Southwest, is doing pretty well, too. So he's feeling pretty good about the position that he's been able to get himself in. Now, big questions. Big questions. What is going to be the next step? What is going to be the play to stop this attack? Not all of these tanks are sieged, which is actually pretty terrifying. I think Clem is considering going for a big contain play where he just wants to keep him off of a 4th base. I love the Liberator counterattack. A lot of bio players do not build missile turrets, but he must have caught wind of this somehow. We do have the Hellions coming over here. They're going to be able to get some SCV kills very effectively. As that Liberator is also sieged up on him. These Hellions towards the 3rd as well. So he's got 13 kills again. This Liberator is so annoying because usually when you play bio, your anti-air is the Marine. If you don't have Vikings out, Liberators one-shot Marines, even with no upgrades at all. So pretty good. Yeah, that little bit of choppiness right there that was the game lagging a little bit. Sorry, guys. There's a lot of people spectating in this game, so that is definitely having some impact on it. Yeah. uThermal moving out, trying to take that 4th base now, sieging up a bunch of his tanks, trying to get into position, trying to get into place. But this is where it gets tough, because he's going to try and crack these rocks open and reposition for a siege up, it would appear. Outside the 3rd. He's really just trying to find the soft spot. He doesn't have the Ravens, but he might try to Doom Drop on top of that if the Vikings aren't in place. Since it's just orbitals, these Hellions, they're not even super concerned about the Marauders. I mean, he has Transformation Servo, so he could turn them into Hellbats too to fight the Marauders. Meanwhile, Viking Raven trying to hold on to this long-range position over here as well is very, very important to keep in mind. He's got 4 tanks in this spot. Is he going to try to move in here yet, though? Good scan, good use of the interference matrix so that his tanks continue to get the volleys necessary. Big Doom Drop by Clem on top of this army. Love the auto turrets coming out of uThermal to help clean that up, and GG is called. uThermal takes game number 1 in stellar fashion. Well done by uThermal. We're going to load up the lobby and get into the next game in just a minute, ladies and gentlemen. All right, already jumping into the next game, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get her done. uThermal leading 1-0. In the Northwest, we have the red Terran player from Team Liquid. He is uThermal. He faces off against the blue Terran player in the Southeast. He is Clem. And he's got himself a nice little setup over here. Keeping my eyes open for any possible proxy shenanigans. Quick SCV scout actually going out from Clem, it looks like this time around. Not a bad play. You got to be cautious, ever vigilant. This is not the worst map to do Reaper cheese on. Especially since I think in TvT, it is very important to have that kind of in your pocket. But we got a barracks and then gas from Clem. So what he wants to do is a super standard Reaper expand, would be my guess. Or look at that. He actually is going to proxy his second barracks. So this is, it's kind of an interesting way to do this, right? Because you basically have the opportunity to get a free win if your opponent is greedy. This type of build is almost insta-win versus a Reaper expand. It's very, very important. Now, because uThermal is doing the gas first build, he should have 2 Reapers and a Hellion, which, all things going well, he shouldn't be in a tremendous amount of danger of dying to something like this. If he played a more eco-type opening, he'd be in a lot of trouble, but that is not the case this game. So the Reapers are starting to build for Clem. No SCV scout by either player. Everybody's just content to sit home and chill. So there we have it. It's going to be a little 2-Rax Reaper. This is not like I'm trying to kill you super fast 2-Rax Reaper. This is, I would like to kill you super fast, but I'm not going to commit myself in such a way that if this doesn't work, I lose the game. Because, well, let's face it, he's down 0-1. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket in this situation because Terran versus Terran is very, very difficult to predict how fights will play out, right? A lot of it is chaos. I think back to Clem doing the Doom drop on uThermal siege tanks in that last game. He's probably thinking to himself, all right, I've got some stuff here. He moved all of his units. I got the Doom drop. I think I should be able to kill it all. But even then, uThermal having those 2 Ravens to drop 6 auto turrets was plenty enough to help defend and deal with that big drop. So these 2 Reapers with an SCV pop up and kill 1 on this. And for uThermal, it actually doesn't look like it's a multi-Rax opener yet because he doesn't have more Reapers than him. And that's when the 4th and the 5th Reaper become really annoying. Or excuse me, the 3rd and 4th Reaper can become really annoying because he could win that fight there. If you're not taking splash damage, BT dubs, Reapers do actually beat Hellions 1v1. Especially if the Reaper player does any level of micro. But Hellions not actually that fantastic if they can't splash. So he's going to throw a grenade or 2. But since there's 3 Reapers and 2 Hellions, he's like, you know what? Okay, I'm not going to do it. So Clem, I think, was hoping for something that wasn't there. This does give you the option to quickly transition into a bio play if you want as well. We've seen other Terrans do it. Usually they build the second barracks in their main when they want to do that. Because he's like, oh, I'm just going to get a bunker because I'm scared of being counterattacked now. So I already like this opening a lot for uThermal. Build a Cyclone. He can go straight into his Ravens. His mech play was actually really on point in the last game. So I would not mind at all seeing him do it again. Map is a little bit smaller. And I actually think that that's better for mech. Because mech's biggest difficulty is usually trying to push out across the map. Without, getting base traded or doom drop, that sort of stuff. I guess in a roundabout sort of way, it's kind of the same thing. But yeah, no, this is great. I love everything about uThermal's setup. Clem, he's got that second barracks earlier, so he can definitely try to do like a 2-Rax stim drop really quickly. I think those are really hard to make work when your opponent has multiple Ravens and Cyclones. He went 2 Cyclone last game, I think, right, uThermal? And that did help very much so with defending the counterattack that Clem tried to bring him after he did his own kind of early push. So very different compositions. He starts the 3rd command center, immediately takes the 2nd gas and the natural. That is exactly how you play textbook mech. He has swapped this barracks around to a few tech labs now. He's going to build the Raven on that one. Pretty sure he's going to play bio here. But he's thinking to himself, I don't need stim just yet. So delaying it a little bit to get the rest of your tech up is also completely fine in my mind. Very appropriate response. Scan from uThermal is going to reveal, yeah, it's bio. Everything is pretty kosher. He sees the 2nd barracks, and he probably was thinking that it was a cheeky 2-Rax play. Now, the scan across the map doesn't reveal too much, but I think he knows it's mech, largely be due to the way that the last game went, and there is nothing on this barracks, so the 3 command centers and not having stim on the way should tell you what you need to know. uThermal wants to try to get out on the map. He's got his Reapers. He's got some Hellions. He's got some Cyclones. Stim is not yet ready for a little while. So this is completely safe for him to do. And he could get a lot of damage done. Cyclones are great at poking. He's going to step forward, gets a couple of lock-ons, kills a few units. There is a Cyclone for Clem, so he doesn't go without taking any losses. But you want to get a feel for what's out there. It's going to move this starport over. I almost called the starport of medevac. No, you build medevacs from there. Unless you're uThermal, then you just build Vikings, because Vikings are one of the best units in TvT. I sincerely believe that at like a high level, the mech TvT setup is definitely the best. Bio is good because it's the easiest comp that will allow you to capitalize on the mistakes of your opponent. But if you play against a mech player who doesn't let you in with those big drops, who keeps their tanks positioned well, very much so like uThermal in that last game, it is so hard. But holy crap, he's going to send all 3 Ravens over to the natural. I don't like this, actually. I think those Ravens are way more important for defending, but he must be feeling pretty damn confident to do this. 3 Ravens is a lot of energy. That's a lot of other stuff that he could have for this this energy to defend against a big fight. But this is so many auto turrets. The SCVs can't really run away, so I also totally understand that. At the same time, he's going to try to move over to the natural space. We get 2 medevacs loaded up, going over. He's got 1 siege tank loaded at the bottom of the ramp. Now these guys are going to unload right next to the mineral line. The rest of the siege tanks caught off guard by that 3rd base. This is kind of what I'm talking about. He kills 20 SCVs, but at what cost, Tasteless? Clem onto the natural of uThermal. This is exactly what I was concerned about. That Raven energy, once upon a time, 4 years ago, I asked a Muslim the best way to deal with Raven harass, and he said, mate, if he sends his Ravens across the map to try and hurt you, he probably ain't got squat to defend the thing at his own pace. Just go kill him. The Raven energy's too valuable. I can't do it to Muslim accent, I'm sorry. But he's able to get a significant amount of damage done on the backside of this, simply by virtue of he don't got no Ravens to help defend. And he did lose 2 of his Ravens as well. So 29 SCVs killed by Clem. And uThermal is staggering. I mean, he looks like he just got socked in the face by prime Conor McGregor. And that does not feel good, ladies and gentlemen. That does not feel good. If you don't like him, you think he's a bad fighter, just go tell that to Rotterdam instead of me, okay? I ask Roddy for all my fighting advice. You know, because I get into a lot of fights. 2 siege tanks being produced right now. I will say this. When it comes to mech, losing SCVs is not as bad as bio, because usually when it comes to producing important stuff, you're going to be a little bit more limited on your gas income based on building tanks, Vikings. It's not an irrecoverable position, but what he's doing now, what Clem has done, is set himself up for a way better possible future attack here. I love that depot. Hellions not really good at killing depots, so having that vision is nice. He comes in, pokes, he's going to step out, no concussive. Look at that. Every Terran player, every single Terran player you'll ever meet, the first time that they're like, oh, I could have killed that if I had concussive shell, immediately starts it. This Marine patrolling on 4th base. I will say this, taking that 4th is going to be way harder than it would be on Nightshade. Definitely not an easy play to make by any means. I love that he's keeping these guys on the outside, though. Love the patrol Viking. You know, we did have a Liberator do nine kills, I think it was, in the other base. But I got to be honest. I actually think, I mean, when it comes to TvT, at the end of the day, I don't really care if anybody agrees with me or disagrees with me on this, but it's all about the airplay. Vikings are the best unit in TvT, which is funny because I think they're one of the worst units in either of the other matchups. But being able to have that air control, as long as you have enough tanks that they can't just yeet themselves into you, that air control is just, it is worth so much. And with 10 siege tanks, it's totally possible for uThermal to hold on to an incoming attack. I love the double sensor tower. Give yourself the vision. Give yourself the extra time to react to the movement of your opponent's army. You're going to see this little red dot. You're like, oh boy, I don't want to die. Meanwhile, that scan in from Clem. He's like, okay, yeah, he's got a good amount of tanks. This is too many tanks to try and charge into. And I'm going to go one step further and tell you guys that I don't even dislike the fact that he's been so slow on his upgrades, because frankly speaking, they actually do not affect the number of hits it takes for a tank to kill any other Terran unit. Did you guys know that? Regardless of upgrades, a siege tank will kill a Marine in 2 hits. Regardless of upgrades, a siege tank will kill a Marauder in 2 hits. Regardless of upgrades, a siege tank will kill another siege tank in 3 hits. No matter what the upgrades are on either side. I do like that uThermal does not rush up. The armory upgrades are still good. Like Transformation Servos is still really good. Hellbats are still useful. But as for the upgrades themselves, They're mostly nice for not dying as fast to Marines. And obviously, splash overkill is going to be a little bit affected by the upgrades to some degree. All I'm trying to say is I like that he prioritized a little bit more on the production side of things. He's got a lot of factories, got his starports going up. He's already got some Thors out too. He's thinking about the quick air transition possibility, which, by the way, the quick air transition is coming. So, fusion core, second starport, actually third, excuse me, up to 3 ports is Clem. Now, Thors are really freaking good against air. And you know what? uThermal definitely knows that something weird is happening. 11 tanks is plenty. And he's getting up those upgrades. That makes me really happy. I will say Clem, though, going for that fast +2 vehicle armor. I think you got to switch to air weapons. If uThermal knew everything that I knew, and by that I mean if uThermal knew everything that you guys in chat know, because you can see everything, you definitely sprint for the air upgrades, because this is going to turn into an air war very quickly. I can't hate it because he's got Thors. The vehicle weapons is still good for the Thor versus Liberator. It's like 1 less shot, I think, with the upgrades. So that is nice. I guess the tricky thing is that the Thors are very easy for the Marines and Marauders to kill sometimes. So you just got to be careful. Ranged Liberators are definitely terrifying. And I'm also going to go a step further and point out, wow, okay, these Hellions somehow made it all the way in here. It's also important to keep in mind that, you know what, Thors are actually not bad against low numbers, but yeah, as these guys are big, juicy targets for those Marauders. It's a solid cleanup there, but he's got to secure this expansion. And if you get enough Liberators, he's building 6 Liberators at a time right now. If you build enough Liberators, I'm sorry, the Thors are actually not going to cut it. The Thors will not actually cut it against the Liberators if they build too many of them. They'll siege up like 10 Liberators on you, and there's going to be so much AoE, or excuse me, there's going to be so much health. Liberators have 180 hit points. They do not die quickly. And I know somebody and some people in chat talking about splash damage being affected by the upgrades. I hate to break it to you guys. Having more of the units that you need when you're playing mech is always better than having the better upgrades. Unless you're trying to go into like battle cruisers or, you know, Mass Viking or something. I don't know. Mass Viking's actually really good against this. But see, here you go. He's got 2 Liberators. So it's like, you're in a tough spot. He's going to try to just bust out of this, going for a huge concave. Mech is not really the composition that wins these big concave fights. The Thors are all on the side without tanks, so they are going to die. And Clem is getting into a really good spot. Like, he's starting to wedge himself in here. Although I say that, the bio is gone. Oh, yeah, just land the Vikings on this. Does he have servos? No? Well, it doesn't matter. You guys want to see Vikings kill everything? They're pretty good. Vikings actually dunk on every mech unit Terran has. I don't know if you guys have ever seen me play TvT, but I actually like to grief people by playing Mass Viking. And with like 20 tanks covering everything, it makes people very angry. It's a very fun style. But Vikings actually dunk on every single mech unit Terran has. So in these numbers, it gets tricky because you kind of force the Terran to go back into bio. You're forcing the Terran to go back into bio now. And you need these Liberators to kill everything. But there's a good Viking count up. So let the tanks blast the planetary. Let the tanks blast the planetary. Since he doesn't have high-sec auto tracking, the Thor actually outranges it. He's got to be cautious, though, because if he fights with the Liberators against the Vikings and just uses all of it, all he needs to do is get that air control, and the Liberators can do a lot. Although having 1 Thor mixed in to pepper that is also big. Really like uThermal trying to dance back and forth here, though, because he lost a lot defending that attack by Clem. But now the mech player being able to attack is just so important. But that Liberator splash, as little as it is versus air, is still extremely crucial to the outcome of any engagement that could happen following this moment. Every single air unit shaved off here is worth its weight in gold. Also, he's going to make Clem spend his whole bank repairing this planetary fortress. It's a lot of money. A lot of money is going down the drain on this PF. If he doesn't save it, that is a cataclysmic error. Okay, Clem is coming in. He's going to try and stop this now. Coming in from the east, coming in from the south, coming in from the east and the south. The Liberators are all sieged up. He's got 8 of them on top of the army. All of the siege tanks going down. Just a handful of Thors remain on the map. The Liberators are content to fight in the air, something that we rarely ever see. And guess what? They're still terrible at that. So they will fall back. And suddenly, perhaps overextending that low number of bio units. Got to remember, Thors actually one-shot Marines. They're incredibly good against these guys in low numbers. But the Liberators say, back it up, buddy. Back it up, back it up, back it up, back it up. Because my daddy taught me good. But uThermal did secure the center right base. He does have the north base outside of that natural expansion. So he is in a fantastic economic position. Meanwhile, Clem, he's building a bunch of orbitals. He's making it rain. But he did dump probably an extra 1,000 minerals and gas into repairing this planetary fortress during that. So kind of took a bit of the wind out of the tech sails. SCVs getting dropped here by these Hellions that are doing a fantastic job. uThermal, I still want to see transformation servos from you at some point. I don't think it's an upgrade any mech player should ever skip. Period. Hell, I like throwing in Drilling Claw Widow Mines at this phase of the game. And these Hellions, man, they've been doing a lot. Is he trying to get vision from the high ground to go up onto the low ground with those? Yeah, this is a good spot to get. Honestly, when you're dealing with this type of harass, I'd like the range upgrade for the planetary so that it could hit these Hellions. I would like it. I would like the range upgrade. He has 3/3 for his bio. I actually sincerely believe high sec auto tracking is a must get late game upgrade, especially when both sides have so many air units. Just an extra hit or two can really swing everything when it comes down to even army compositions and size. So he kind of sees that scan. He's got an eye on the army moving out. I don't think uThermal's going to be able to be stopped here. He's just got too much and too many Thors as well. I like Talon Terran players to get ship upgrades, but he actually did a really good job with the Thors here. He did a much better job with the Thors than I thought he would, honestly. I always feel like Vikings, just more Vikings is always the answer. But in this case, having the Thors to also zone away is really nice. I go back to the Viking comment now, though, with this many Liberators blocking you. It's very hard to push into this because you don't really have an effective way to kill the tanks without going through everything else first. He's going to blow open these rocks. Mag field accelerators, so he's thinking about mixing in cyclones. I don't hate that. Yeah, with this number of Vikings, this is definitely the right play for Clem. This is definitely the right play. Just Vikings and Liberators, as many as humanly possible. Those tanks getting a little bit caught, though. Ooh, nice high ground position here for uThermal. He's got to siege up everything, though. The Liberators sieging as well. Thors, focus them down, focus them down. The Vikings on the ground are getting a lot of extra damage in here, but we do have a few tanks in the back to try and hold it together. I think uThermal's army should be able to take this, though. Those 11 range Thors are extremely powerful. Goodbye, Clem's forces. And now just a single tank and a handful of Liberators going to try to defend against the oncoming onslaught. Let us not forget, he's very close to getting in range of Clem's production. And if he does that, it is sayonara sucker. Liberators are all dead. Those Thors are not here to mess around. uThermal, with a 50 supply lead, is about to reach the production of our young Terran player in blue. This is definitely not a good spot to be in. He's had plenty of economy. He's had a lot to work with, but these engagements, these positionings, even just that last little fight up over here just went so well in favor of uThermal. Once you start to wedge a tank or two over here, land Vikings, you're going to kill all the production, and there won't be a whole lot that Clem can do. He is scanning. He wants to know where the economy is. He's this base. He's just going to tap out. GG, well played. uThermal takes the series 2-0.